C'est une vidéo très spéciale que je vous propose aujourd'hui. J'ai eu la possibilité d'échanger avec Maxim Verehin, qui est donc le cofondateur de Team Clout. Vous savez, c'est ce studio qui va proposer en 2027 un jeu terrifiant, un vraiment aspect body horror très sanglant qu'on a pu voir à l'occasion des 2 derniers State of Play d'ailleurs, et qui montre un personnage qui est aux prises de créatures infernales après s'être réveillé d'un coma. Et j'ai également pu échanger avec Kristina Omelchenko, qui est donc de son côté la directrice de la communication de Mundfish. Mundfish, c'est ceux qui ont fait Atomic Heart. Et donc, ils sont devenus une sorte d'accélérateur de studio, et de leur côté, ils soutiennent la production de Team Clout, en l'occurrence Échange très intéressant, vraiment, c'est pas la vidéo qui fera le plus de vues, ça c'est clair, parce que c'est long, parce que c'est en sous-titré français, etc. Mais c'est un échange que je tenais vraiment à vous partager, parce que j'adore parler avec les développeurs, et comprendre un petit peu la genèse de leur projet, les difficultés de développement, parler du gameplay, parler du moteur de jeu, parler de l'industrie, etc. Bref, installez-vous confortablement si vous voulez tout savoir sur Je pense que vous êtes tombé sur une interview qui est assez grande. Thanks for having me today, Maxim, and you, Christina. I got a few questions for you about Hill. First of all, thank you for having me today for the discussion. We've been following the project since its very first teaser, since I think it was in 2021 on Jeux Vidéo magazine, and your latest trailer was truly impressive. Could you tell us more about Team Clout? Who are you? What are your background, and how the team grown and evolved over the year?
It was all started as 4 founders, friends, who were dreaming of making the game they want to play. Yeah, it started like in 2021, and we thought, hey, we need resources to make this game. So our plan was to make this conceptual trailers, put them on YouTube, and see how the people react, if the audience is interested in our concept of this game, and see the potential partners, what they can say or how they can help us. So yeah, since then we had a couple of years of researching of what exactly this project is going to be. The project grew a bit in scale, and it started to have a story and different locations. At first it was more like, indie horror vibes, just a small village. Now we have scaled it up, and in 2023 we partnered with Mundfish Powerhouse to actually power boost the production and started to actually fastly move towards the release of the game. The team grew quite a bit, from 4 people to around 70 people full-time at the moment, and we are still growing.
The latest trailer put a much stronger emphasis on the narrative side of the game. Without spoiling too much, could you introduce us to the protagonist, his motivation, and what brings him into this nightmarish environment? More broadly, what are the main themes you want to explore through with this character and with this plot, with the environment and all of the creature, of course?
Yeah, it's really hard not to spoil if I tell you the main theme that Il explores, but one of the things that definitely is going to be part of the storytelling is just a loneliness and feeling vulnerable in a world where nothing is really try to help you. This is a game about the main protagonist. His name is Alex. He found himself on this facility after being in coma for a few years. We don't really try to pursue this trope with having a memory loss. He didn't lose any memory, he remembers everything, but he found himself in a place he doesn't know nothing about. But slowly going towards the end of the story, he understands more and more how he interconnected with everything that is happening around, and he's gonna have his own personal purpose to be there and to move forward till the end and see more and more gruesome stuff and fight through it. In the beginning, you are more into find yourself, the players and the protagonists, they're gonna find themselves in a more, the regular locations. It's kind of the locations that you get used to from other games. For example, like a hospital, this is your beginning of the game, and there is this a doctor guy who is like a father figure in our game who's going to help you throughout the first chapters. The moving forward, you're gonna find more and more unexpected locations, and you go deeply into the secret stuff that was happening within the facility, along with meeting people who are more, into their own secretive stuff.
More about the gameplay and more about the horror. Whole Hill is practically impressive because on its atmosphere is very dark and the body horror elements are present. How did you design the enemy dismember and physical reaction system, and how far do you push the simulation of injury and damage in the enemy?
Feeling of having fun playing the game, like having opportunity to see the damage that you make with your guns, it's really important for us, and for that we developed this there's a dismemberment system is really in depth, so you can shoot if you shoot with a pistol, there's a small chunk of the character's body is gonna disappear, but then if you shoot with a shotgun, the huge gouge on his body is gonna be visible, and it's gonna be in 3D, so it's chunks of flesh are gonna be flying out. So basically you can actually cut off every old flesh from the body to the skeleton. So it's really in detail system of dismemberment, which we also try to support with physics behavior. So when you shoot, you see the animation of the impact on the characters are really visible, so you see your damage, how it's been done, and this animation is blended with procedural animation. So when the enemy, for example, he stumbles back, he can touch the other enemy gonna react. So we are trying to avoid when the arm, for example, of the enemy is clipping the wall and go through the wall. So we're trying to make these procedural animations to kind of support the feeling that everything is physical. We don't go super crazy in some of these VR games you might see online, where it's all about procedural animations, because this way it gives you a lot of randomness, and Eel is taking a bit of mass market approach. We want to be appealing for many people, and many people enjoy our game, so we have to balance the procedural aspect of the game with a planned aspect of the game, so we know exact experience that players gonna have.
And is there any ideas, mechanics, or scene that you ultimately had to abandon or modify because they were too disturbing or simply too difficult to implement in the game?
No, we didn't cut anything because it's too disturbing. We are trying to be free here and not restrict ourselves with these ratings, but of course we need to play safer with sensitive topics, but other than that, the bloody and gore, dismemberment, everything we do as we want, and trying to scale it up to the maximum. But you're right, some of the mechanics were abandoned. For example, in the beginning of Eel, we were more taking realistic and simulation approach, so we had a lot of mechanics with weapons jamming, for example. So you can, if you don't clean up your weapon, you shoot a gun and sometimes it can jam, and we had to abandon it, at least for this game, the first game, because it's really tough to balance and make it to play fun. So we from the plans of making more realistic simulation type of gameplay, we went towards making it feel realistic, but not we are not trying to make it a simulator. We want to make it fun and feel real.
It has been mentioned before in other interviews, and you mentioned that a couple of seconds ago, that the creator in Hill are capable to adapting to the player. In this adaptation, purely behavioral, or does it also affect their anatomy, abilities, and evolution through the game about the enemy?
Yeah, this adaptability is not super like, again, it's not simulated AI, it's all kind of planned, but we want to direct it in the way that it's gonna feel a bit, that the enemies are not just stupid zombies, but they actually have something behind their minds. So we have this tool, we call it Horror tool show. Mostly we use it for when the enemies appear in front of the player. So you're all the time, almost all the time, are going to be surprised how you see another enemy. So enemy can hide in a locker, or enemy can hide under the table and be with you in the location all the time you were there. And the enemy is not going to be all the time aggressive towards you. Or the enemy can fall down from the ceiling and stuff like this. But also we use this tool within the combat situation. So for example, there is like a table, and we can say with this tool that, hey, when the enemy around this table, he can jump over it, or play some unique animation, or like take an object from this table and throw into player. So we kind of, direct the way the enemies behave without relying too much on the randomness of their behavior.
And you mentioned also about the balance between the fun and the realistic, but I want also to talk about the balance between horror and a more, how can I say, calm momentum. Finding the right pathing is crucial for an horror game. How do you balance moment in intense action and tension with quieter period in the game? More specifically, how does EEL handle the balance between storytelling, combat sequences, and section where the protagonists need to rely on stealth and caution?
It's just a regular path that you might reference from like Resident Evil games or Silent Hill games, when you have a bit of storytelling, like you seeing a cutscene, and then go to explore the world. And within that, you have some of the action moments in the game. And we divide actions moments by, if we simplify it into 3 different roads that we take. So sometimes you just meet like a singular or 2 enemies on the level, and they are just like a fillers in the level. But then there are going to be like arena fights, where it's almost feels like a boss fight, but without a boss. But it's just a lot of enemies approaching you because you caused a bit of chaos, or you made a noise in the world, and you have this arena fight, and we are trying to direct it in a way that we use like cool music, so you feel the moment. You feel like you are fighting through something important. But then, of course, there is some bosses that is like a big arena fight with a boss that has different stages into that, and stuff like this. I would say like what is challenging to balance for us is making a horror game and also having the player to have a lot of weapons behind their back. So that's hard to balance, because like once you give a lot of weapons to the player, it's really hard to scare to anyone, because you don't feel vulnerable anymore. And this is tough for us, because EEL has this kind of, we found our middle ground between being like a Silent Hill, which is more relying on being terrified all the time because everything is so scary and you are vulnerable, and Resident Evil, which some of iterations of Resident Evil, they are more action-packed and not so scary. So we're trying to find a balance in that regard, because we want to be scary and we want to have a lot of action. Which we are trying to solve with giving like scarce resources. You have to explore the world to have enough ammo for you, and the ammo is never enough in our game. That's why you have to go into close quarters with enemies, get like a pipe from the wall, fight with it. But these melee weapons are breakable, and you cannot rely on them too much. And also there are some episodes of the game where your weapons doesn't mean anything, or we take away weapons from you. That way, in these episodes, we can actually scare you in the way of, horrors like PT, where you don't have power to fight back.
Yeah, like also in the sequence on Resident Evil Village with the House Beneviento, we don't have any weapon.
Exactly, yeah, this is the scariest part of 8th Resident Evil, yeah.
You mentioned also it's important to explore for craft or something. How does it work? It is big area.
Yeah, so you know what? It's funny that first when we started EEL, we were trying to take approach of Resident Evil series in terms of like world exploration and how the gameplay loop works. So Resident Evil series rely heavily on being in one huge area and just getting through it with a lot of backtrack. Naturally, we went from that towards a bit of like it started to remind us of Half-Life 2 approach. So it's a linear game with a bit of backtracking, but also you're gonna see a lot of different biomes, different locations, and it's gonna feel like a huge journey towards the end. We don't have Metroidvania type of gameplay, but it's the areas gonna have some optional things to explore, some places, and for the players who want to explore, we try to reward them with resources and also some collectibles, just a fun collectibles that you can find throughout the world.
I'd like to talk a bit about that because EEL has been developed in Unreal Engine 5. What has been the biggest technical challenge you face while working with the engine? And have you been following the recent announcements surrounding Unreal Engine 6? Do you already see ways in which those advancements with UE6 could influence you at Team Clout for maybe your future projects?
I'm following what's the Unreal Engine updating recently with Unreal Engine 8, I think. Unreal Engine 5.8
yeah, the next
upgrade, and they go towards the releasing of the next version of Unreal Engine. I think what we are most excited about is optimization for the lights. Naturally, we come into your first part of your question is that one of the biggest challenge is optimize this game to work perfectly on all the consoles. Having visuals that we actually announced for the trailers, so people are kind of starting to familiarize EEL with great graphics. But on the technical side, and what we are struggling with is to optimize it in a way that it's gonna have great FPS and without cutting down the graphics. And the lights are really performance demanding at the moment in Unreal Engine. They always update that, but it's still, you always need to stick to a certain amount of light sources to be able not to go over and
overcharge
overcharge your system. Yeah, that's the biggest one. But like in general, with the games that look like EEL, like more visual fidelity, it's really hard to make the interactive game. Introduce a lot of physics, dismemberment, everything has to go through a lot of steps, and that's challenging as hell.
And how has the collaboration with Mundfish been so far? Have they, in certain way, influenced any particular aspect of the project, or have they mostly allowed you to pursue your original vision independently?
Well, it's funny to say that, but they actually are the ones who are trying to not make us to go ways and go like somewhere we are not expecting to plan to go ourselves in the beginning of the project. So they want for us to stay as a creators, as a unique creators, and bring that vision into the final product. Sometimes we got tendencies to, being inspired by something and go to different directions. But actually, like Mundfish always pointing, hey guys, you are unique for your love for horror and your experience with horror, and please stick with that and bring your own vision. So EEL is going to be unique in a horror and scenes, like idea-wise ways. And also, like Mundfish helps us with they being as a elderly brother who already been through all the struggles, and they can help us with answering questions, setting up the processes within the company. And Mundfish team, they like the leads from this team are also like guiding our leads to set up the processes in a way that we don't have to go through the same mistakes and lose time over that. Maybe Christina wants to add something because she is a Mundfish powerhouse.
Thank you, Max. Well, I think you actually summarized it perfectly. We jump in when it's needed, when the team needs some help. It might be technical help or more of a organizational help. So whatever that may be, but our biggest goal is to make sure that they stay true to their vision. And we think that EEL is such a unique project, and we hope that it will take its own very special place in the world of horror and games in general. So we're here to make sure they get to the release in the best way possible.
And the last one, I'd like to broaden and finish the discussion to the game industry in general. It appears to be a project that wasn't built with a team of hundreds of developers or a budget of several $100 million. In an industry where production costs continue to rise dramatically, do you believe that smaller, more agile teams have an advantage when it comes to creative freedom today?
Oh yeah, of course. When like there is two ends in that. There is like a huge companies, thousands of people working on the game, and this is one thing. We are not like this. We are not even close to being like this. Or there is like a really small companies that make more like of indie games, but they're limited to the scale of the game and what they actually can show. But there are great examples in that regard. Like indie market is on the rise at the moment. I'm a huge fan of some of the indie titles, but there are small teams. And there is a middle, and we are kind of in the middle, so we don't have a huge team, but still not the small team. So our game, in a way, if we smart enough with directing our development and what we actually spending money on and how wisely we're spending money, we can actually have a relatively small budget and small team and deliver a project that is looking like EEL, for example. So it's more towards the like a big AAA title. Like I'm not claiming that we are AAA title. We are like still like small company. And it's
of course.
But yeah, and I heard from many developers who are in the same situation as we are. So it's under 100 people teams. They all say that if you stay within that range, it's easier to actually make things happen without overcomplicate things. With big games, it's always, the question of are you gonna be still gonna keep true to yourself without going ways into like what the publisher wants and such things.
Of course. Yeah, I'm wondering that because there's a lot of examples that smaller studios, like, of course, Obscure, of course, The Blood on the Walker, I went to the studio, there are only, I think, 100 people or something. And I think it's pretty interesting to see the balance between the AAA, the blockbuster, with the 100 of developers, the 100 of budget, and smaller companies, smaller team, more agile team, who are very creative and make some projects, something very interesting for the player and who's got a lot of impact to the player. So yeah, it's interesting to have your vision. I asked the same question to Rebel Wolf, so yeah, just wondering that about more agile, more smaller developers. Yeah,
I just want to add something here is like having a really huge team. I think it's kind of hard to deliver your creative vision and having like the task of directing and the task of seeing the ideas of what you had in your head delivered into the game. With smaller studio is easier because you can actually be more personal with each of the team member. When it's huge, it's hard. It has to be more like a machine way of creating things. But there are like great examples where the studio is huge, but it's not like this. For example, like Last of Us games or Kojima games, they're super outdoor games, but at the same time, their studios are pretty big in there.
Hamid, I just wanted to jump in here also a little bit. We as the partner, we look at what the team has to offer in terms of like this creative vision, but also we look at the ambition that the team has and that the project can have. So like we look at the teams to partner with from that point of view. It's not that like, for example, oh, we're gonna support indie games. We don't think that way. We look at the project and at the team and we see if it has a potential to become big. Yeah. And we definitely saw that in Max's team, and we truly believe this can be turned into a big launch and a big IP. So sometimes the small creative teams can really break through, and I think we're in a great moment in the industry to witness that. From the titles that you already mentioned, it's cool that you mentioned Rebel Wolves. They have some of my ex-colleagues working there. We really cheer for them. So I think we're in a very interesting moment right now, and I think the creativity is probably the most important aspect of the game development success right now. So let's see what the industry brings next.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, you two, for having me and for answering my question. Thank you, Maxim, also.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
We had a great chat, so thank you.
Of course. Voilà, en tout cas, par rapport à cette interview que j'ai pu faire de Maxime et donc de Christina, merci infiniment à Team Clout, évidemment, d'avoir proposé cette interview. On a pu la faire également du côté du magazine papier, donc n'hésitez pas à aller le lire. En plus, c'est d'autres questions qui ont été posées, donc c'est totalement complémentaire. Il, pour rappel, sortira pour 2027. On suivra évidemment la production, et j'espère que ce format vous aura plu. Je sais qu'il était un peu long, je sais que parfois c'était un peu technique, etc. J'ai très peu d'images de gameplay à mettre dans la vidéo, donc ça a plus favorisé l'échange directement tel qu'il était, et c'est un truc que j'aimerais bien refaire par la suite avec d'autres développeurs, si possible, et c'est cool de pouvoir prendre le temps de parler un petit peu, de s'étendre sur différents sujets, dans des interviews qui font plus que 10 minutes. La bille, jouez bien, prenez soin de vous, merci beaucoup pour ceux qui ont regardé jusqu'au bout, n'hésitez pas à commenter chocotte en commentaire, voilà, si vous l'avez regardé jusqu'au bout, ça me permettrait de voir un petit peu qui l'a consommé, et on vous tiendra au courant, évidemment, dès qu'on aura la moindre nouvelle information concernant Il, qui sortira donc pour 2027 et qui s'annonce particulièrement terrifiant et assez stressant. La bille, jouez bien, prenez soin de vous. Ciao à tout le monde.